Have you ever considered that everything you've learned about being cautious, playing it safe, and waiting for the perfect moment might be precisely what's preventing you from achieving your dreams? What if I told you the only way to overcome your biggest obstacles is completely illogical? Sounds crazy, right? That's precisely the point. The secret lies in embracing the seemingly irrational. First, understand this. If you think like most people, you'll live like most people. And the harsh truth is, most people aren't even close to achieving what they desire. Look around you. How many people do you know who are truly living their dream lives? The answer is obvious. Very few. Why? Because they spend their lives trying to be logical, prudent, fitting into a mold that was never designed for extraordinary results. When something seems utterly illogical, that's where the opportunity lies. It's life testing you. Do you truly believe in what you want? Are you willing to do what nobody else would? Because let me tell you this, if your goals don't seem absurd to someone, they're probably not big enough. Think about your life. How many times have you let a dream die because it didn't seem sensible? How many times have you told yourself, I'll wait for the right time, I'll save more money, when everything is in place, I'll start? And answer honestly, how many of those right times ever arrived? Never. Because logic will always try to keep you tethered to the familiar, the comfortable, the unthreatening. But it's the discomfort, that feeling of venturing into the unknown, that signals growth. I know you might be thinking, but what if it goes wrong? And I ask you, what if it goes right? Have you imagined it? Have you truly visualized yourself living it? Because if you haven't, if you don't allow yourself to imagine it, you never will. It's impossible. The mind doesn't create what it can't imagine. Everything that exists today, absolutely everything, started as an illogical idea. The airplane? Absurd. The internet? A joke to the experts of its time. People bet their careers, saying it would never work. But someone believed in the impossible. Now pause and reflect. Are you living like someone who believes in the impossible or someone who hides behind the possible? It's an uncomfortable question, I know. Most people spend their lives trying to please others, shielding themselves from criticism, avoiding appearing foolish. The price? Giving up the life they could have lived. Let me tell you something that will make you think, I've been on the other side. I was that person who believed in logic, in everything having to make sense before taking a step. And my reality? Bad jobs, debt, no prospects. Only when I started acting illogically did everything change. Illogical to others, of course. Because to me, it finally made sense. It made sense to invest in myself. It made sense to dream big. It made sense to believe I could have more. So let me ask you, what are you putting off because it seems crazy? Starting your own business, changing careers, buying that dream house, writing the book that's been trapped inside you for years. Whatever it is, let me tell you the truth. If it seems absurd, that's probably the way. There was a time I told someone to do something so unconventional, it would seem utterly insane to an outsider. This person wanted a dream home, a place that truly represented who they were. But when they saw the price, logic screamed, it's not feasible, it's reckless, it's impossible. And you know what I said? I said, go back. Step into that house and live as if it were already yours. Touch the walls, sit on the sofa, look out the window and imagine the conversations, the moments, the laughter. Imagine Christmas with your family there. Smell the food, hear the voices, see every detail unfolding. They thought I was joking. I wasn't. Because most people believe the secret is in having the money first, having the perfect conditions. But the truth is the opposite. You create it within, then manifest it without. Logic will say that's nonsense, but logic doesn't create anything. It only analyzes what already exists. If you want to create something new, you need to step outside of logic. So she did what I said. She returned to that house and spent hours there, walking through the rooms as if she were a resident. In the bedroom, she took off her shoes, lay down, picked up a book, looked at the view as if she owned the place. In the living room, she lit the fireplace, sat in the armchair, took a deep breath. And she didn't stop there. She did something even crazier. She created a Christmas invitation for that house before even making an offer. She sent it to her whole family. People responded, confirming their attendance, and she thought, now there's no turning back. I'm not going to be the person who invites everyone to a Christmas dinner in a house that doesn't exist. See the power of that? When you create a situation where there's no plan B, when you put energy, emotion, and commitment into what you want, the universe responds. Because at that moment, she wasn't just desiring that house, she was living in that house. Every cell in her body believed it. That's how you change your frequency. Now answer me, how many times have you dreamed of something and immediately killed that dream because you looked at your bank balance? How many times have you let logic suffocate desire? How many opportunities have you missed because it didn't make sense on paper? And I ask you, how do you expect something extraordinary to happen in your life if all you do is follow the logical path? This might sound crazy to those who have never done it, but tell me, who do you think achieves great things? The people who play it safe or those who have the courage to seem crazy for a while? You don't need to tell everyone. You don't need to justify it to anyone. But you need to create this experience in your mind until it becomes inevitable. And if you think this doesn't work, I want you to remember this story, because it's not a fairy tale. It's proof that when you create it first in your imagination and sustain it with action and emotion, something changes. You start to see opportunities. You start to attract the right people. You start to see paths that were previously invisible. Now I ask you, are you willing to feel strange for a while to live something extraordinary forever? Or will you continue waiting for everything to make sense before you begin? Because if you wait, I guarantee you, your whole life will pass and you'll still be waiting. How many times have you told yourself, I need to be prudent? It sounds good, doesn't it? Prudence sounds wise, balanced, responsible. But let me tell you the truth. In many cases, prudence is nothing more than well-disguised fear. Fear of losing money, fear of failure, fear of what others will think. And that fear paralyzes more than any external obstacle. Pause and reflect. How many opportunities have you missed because you decided to wait a little longer? How many dreams have you shelved because you thought, now is not the time? And I ask you, when exactly will the right time be? Do you know? Because I've lived long enough to tell you that perfect time never comes. There will always be a reason to postpone. There will always be a risk along the way. There will always be someone to say, be careful, it's dangerous. But let me ask you a simple question. Who do you know who achieves something great by always playing it safe? I'll give you a real example. Early in my life, I had this prudent mentality. I worked in jobs I didn't like, earned little, and constantly put out financial fires. Until one day I realized this prudence wasn't protecting me. It was imprisoning me. It was like a gilded cage. It seemed comfortable, but it prevented me from flying. I was afraid to lose, afraid to risk. And you know what the consequence was? I was already losing every day the life I could have lived. And that's what happens to most people. They don't fail because they tried something big and it went wrong. They fail because they never tried. They live inside a bubble called common sense and never realize that it's this bubble that prevents them from experiencing the extraordinary life they so desire. And deep down, they know it. Deep down. Because at night, when they put their head on the pillow, there's a voice that whispers, "What if you had tried?" Now imagine yourself at the end of your life, sitting, looking back, and wondering, what would have happened if I had risked it? If I had believed a little more? If I had trusted myself? Do you want to carry that doubt forever? Or would you rather have scars from trying something big, even if it didn't work out? Because I'll tell you something few people have the courage to admit. Failing while trying something extraordinary is infinitely better than dying without ever having tried. And I'll be very direct. If you continue waiting to feel ready, you'll wait forever. Nobody is ever 100% ready for anything. I wasn't when I wrote my first book. I wasn't when I started teaching. I wasn't when I decided to open businesses. And you know what? Even today, every time I take a bigger step, I feel fear. The difference is that I don't let fear decide for me. Now tell me, will you let fear continue to deceive you, hiding behind the word prudence? Or will you have the courage to admit it's fear, look at it and say, I'm going to do it anyway? Because in the end, the choice is always yours. And there's only one safe place for those who play it safe: mediocrity. When you think of a big goal, one that seems impossible, the first thing you need to understand is that it's not enough to rationally want it. Superficial desire moves nothing. That's why so many people say, I want to be rich, I want to have freedom, but remain in the same place year after year. Because wanting isn't enough. You need to become emotionally involved with what you desire, to the point where it already feels like a part of your life. That's what unleashes true creative power. Science proves this. When you emotionally connect with an idea, you activate areas of the brain responsible for motivation, focus, and decision-making. It releases dopamine, the neurotransmitter of pleasure and anticipation. It's as if your body starts working to bring that experience into reality. Research shows that people who write down their goals and visualize them daily have 42% more chances of achieving them than those who only think about them occasionally. This isn't magic, it's neuroscience applied to life. But here's what almost nobody understands. Visualization isn't just seeing an image, it's feeling. It's closing your eyes and hearing the sounds, touching the textures, smelling the aromas, experiencing the emotions of already having what you want. If you desire financial freedom, it's not enough to see a number in your account. It's feeling the peace of mind of waking up without debt. It's imagining the joy of providing experiences for your family. It's feeling the gratitude for having time to do what you love. That's what changes the frequency of your thoughts. I used this in my own life many times. When I was broke, full of debt, I would close my eyes and see myself giving lectures to thousands of people, traveling the world, living in abundance. I felt it for real, to the point of getting emotional. And you know what happened? I'd stand up from my chair and start acting differently because my mind already believed it was possible. I didn't wait for everything to be perfect to feel it. I felt it first. That's the key. Now, I ask you, are you willing to do this every day? Are you willing to trade 5 minutes of worry for 5 minutes of powerful imagination? Because if you do, I guarantee something will shift. It might seem small, but that's where the big secret lies. You can choose to keep focusing on what's missing, or you can start living now as if you already have it. That's the bridge between the dream and reality. Because when you feel it, when you engage with it, you activate the most powerful law of the universe. You attract what you're in harmony with. And nobody needs to believe it for you. You just need to experience it. So the question is, will you keep saying, I want, or will you start living now as if it already is? That decision is yours, and it can change everything. When you look at history's great achievements, you notice something fascinating. Everything that seems normal today was once considered impossible. Flight was a joke, an absurdity. When the Wright brothers said they were going to put something heavier than air in the sky, everyone laughed. Even their father, a religious man, claimed it was against God's will and that they would be punished for attempting such a thing. Now tell me, have you ever flown on a plane? How many times? Do you think they succeeded because they followed logic? No, They succeeded because they ignored logic and believed in the impossible. And it's always like that. Everything that changes the game starts as something illogical. Think of Thomas Edison. He tried more than 1,000 times to create the light bulb, 1,000 attempts. Any logical person would have stopped at the 10th try because, let's face it, after so many failures, it seems crazy to continue. But he believed so strongly that when someone asked him how he felt about failing 1,000 times, he replied, "I didn't fail 1,000 times. I discovered 1,000 ways that don't work." And thanks to that, you have light wherever you are today. Now tell me, what is something you're not trying because you're afraid of seeming crazy? What dream are you keeping in a box because you think people will judge you? Maybe you want to start a business, write a book, change careers, or launch a huge project, but then you think, this is risky, this is illogical. What if I fail? And I ask you, what if you don't try? What if you spend your whole life wondering what would have happened if you had believed in yourself? I remember once at one of my events, I asked an Oscar-nominated actor to do something crazy. Stand up right now and give his acceptance speech as if he had won. He was uncomfortable, but he did it. In the middle of the audience, with everyone watching, he gave his thanks as if he were on the Oscar stage. Do you know what happened the following week? He won. Coincidence? No. He entered the frequency of what he wanted before it happened. He believed so much that he put himself in the scene. That's the difference between those who achieve and those who only desire. Achievers place themselves inside the dream before it becomes a reality. And that applies to you. You need to stop waiting for logic to approve your dreams. Logic will never approve them. It will give you every reason to give up: lack of money, lack of time, lack of experience. But let me tell you something. Those who made history also didn't have money, time, or experience. They only had one decision: I'm going to make this work. Look at history. Look at the people you admire. They all have something in common. At some point, they were called crazy. And do you know what I wish for you? That one day someone will say, I thought he had lost his mind, but look where he ended up. Because that means you had courage. The courage to be illogical for a while, and because of that, live an extraordinary life forever. Now I want to know, are you willing to seem insane to the world and brilliant to your own soul? Or will you continue following the crowd, doing what's safe, while your true life slips away before your eyes? That's the decision that defines who you will be. Now that you've thought about it, here's the challenge. For the next 7 days, I want you to live as if it has already happened. It's not just thinking, it's acting. Create an experience so real that your mind begins to believe. If your dream is a house, go visit one that represents exactly what you want. Walk through the rooms as if you own it. Take off your shoes, sit on the sofa, look out the window. Imagine the conversations, the laughter, the smell of food on the stove. If your dream is public speaking, write the speech and practice in front of the mirror as if you were in front of 1,000 people. Feel the applause, hear the voices, see the flashes, and don't stop there. Do something that makes it public, that puts you in a position of commitment. If your goal is to start a business, talk to someone about it, create a name, design a logo, post an idea on social media. If it's a financial goal, open a separate account and put in the first amount, even if it's symbolic. Why is this so powerful? Because when you take a step, however small it may seem, you send a message to yourself and the universe. I believe. And when you believe at that level, things start to happen that you can't explain logically. I've seen this happen with thousands of people. People who were broke and started acting as if they were already prosperous. Shy people who saw themselves as leaders and suddenly started leading. People who were called crazy and years later became an inspiration to those who criticized them. And it all started with a decision to act as if it were already real. Now answer me, will you continue waiting for logic to approve your dreams, or will you take the first step now, even if it seems crazy? Because I'll tell you something. Great miracles only happen after the first act of courage. And today could be the day it all begins for you. So now is the time to put all this into practice. Because it's no use listening, agreeing, and then returning to your routine as if nothing had happened. And I want to propose something that may seem uncomfortable, may seem insane, but it's precisely this that will make the difference. I want you to choose now a goal that seems completely outside your current reality. Something that, just thinking about it, makes you feel butterflies in your stomach. That's the sign that it's big enough to change your life. Now that you've thought about it, here's the challenge. For the next 7 days, I want you to live as if it has already happened. It's not just thinking, it's acting. Create an experience so real that your mind begins to believe. If your dream is a house, go visit one that represents exactly what you want. Walk through the rooms as if you own it. Take off your shoes, sit on the sofa, look out the window. Imagine the conversations, the laughter, the smell of food on the stove. If your dream is public speaking, write the speech and practice in front of the mirror as if you were in front of 1,000 people. Feel the applause, hear the voices, see the flashes, and don't stop there. Do something that makes it public, that puts you in a position of commitment. If your goal is to start a business, talk to someone about it, create a name, design a logo, post an idea on social media. If it's a financial goal, open a separate account and put in the first amount, even if it's symbolic. Why is this so powerful? Because when you take a step, however small it may seem, you send a message to yourself and the universe. I believe. And when you believe at that level, things start to happen that you can't explain logically. Now answer me. Will you continue waiting for logic to approve your dreams, or will you take the first step now, even if it seems crazy? Because I'll tell you something. Great miracles only happen after the first act of courage, and today could be the day it all begins for you. Have you ever stopped to think that everything you've been taught about being cautious, playing it safe, and waiting for the right time might be exactly what's preventing you from achieving everything you desire? What if I told you that the only way to eliminate your biggest obstacles makes no logical sense? Sounds crazy, doesn't it? But that's precisely where the secret lies. The first thing you need to understand is that if you continue thinking like the majority, you will continue living like the majority lives. And the truth is harsh. The majority is nowhere near achieving what they desire. Look around you. How many people do you know who are truly living the life of their dreams? Very few. And do you know why? Because they spend their lives trying to be logical, cautious, fitting into the mold. But when something seems completely illogical, that's precisely where the opportunity lies. It's as if life is testing you. Do you really believe in what you desire? Are you willing to do what nobody else would do? Because if your goals don't seem absurd to someone, they're probably not big enough. There was a time when I told someone to do something that, to anyone, would sound like insanity. This person wanted an incredible house, but when they saw the price, logic screamed, "It's not possible." I said, "Go back there. Go into that house and live as if it were already yours. Touch the walls, sit on the sofa, look out the window, and imagine the conversations, the laughter, Christmas with your family." They thought I was joking, but they did it. They spent hours there, walking through the rooms as if they lived there. In the bedroom, they took off their shoes, picked up a book, and looked at the view. In the living room, they lit the fireplace and sat in the armchair. And they didn't stop there. They created a Christmas invitation for that house and sent it to their family before even making an offer. People RSVP'd. Now tell me, how do you back down after that? And do you know what happened? They got the house. Because when you create the experience before it exists, when you act as if you already have it, everything changes. But do you know why most people don't do this? Because they confuse prudence with intelligence. And I'll tell you, often Prudence is just well-disguised fear. Fear of failure, judgment, losing money. But look around. How many people do you know who have achieved something extraordinary by always playing it safe? None. Do you know why? Because playing it safe only guarantees one thing: a mediocre life. And the truth is that the greatest pain at the end of life is not what went wrong. It's what was never attempted. I don't want you to reach the end and think, "What if I had tried?" Now think. When you focus on the problem, you feel fear, anxiety, frustration. And do you know what that attracts? More of the same. But when you feel as if you have already achieved it, you change the frequency. And when that happens, opportunity comes. That's why I want you to try this now. Close your eyes and imagine that your greatest desire has already happened. What does it feel like? Who is with you? What does the environment smell like? How do you feel? Hold on to that feeling, because to your mind, this is real, and make no mistake, everything that seems crazy is exactly what transforms lives. Remember the Wright brothers? They were called insane. Edison? 1,000 attempts to create the light bulb. If he had acted logically, he would have stopped at the 10th. Do you know what I've learned from all this? That you will never change your life by asking permission from logic. So, I'm going to challenge you. Choose now a goal that seems impossible. Something that just thinking about it makes you feel butterflies in your stomach. And for the next 7 days, live as if it were already real. Visit a place that represents that dream, write an invitation, talk to someone, post something. Do something completely unexpected, something that pushes you outside your comfort zone. Remember, everything we've explored so far boils down to this core truth. The change you desire begins within you, the moment you decide to raise your vibration and act in alignment with what you truly want to attract. And that's just the beginning. Now on your screen, you'll find the next video, ready to take you another step further on your journey of wisdom, helping you become 1% better than you are today. Thank you so much for your time, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video, where we'll continue this growth journey together.